So thanks to HVAC budget, I was made aware of this multi-tool that I had never seen before. So this is the Walther GMT150. I got a number of them and I'm curious to see what you guys think. We're going to be talking about this and this size multi-tool in general. I have probably more than 100 multi-tools in my collection, and yet I find myself buying tools when I see something in them that makes them distinct or potentially a huge advantage. And for me, what attracted me to this tool is the overall form factor, weight, and pliers of the tool. So it's a 3 1/4 inch length with a 1/2 inch wide. It does have some implements on the outside, which we'll talk about, but I'm going to spend most of my time really focusing on this plier, which is more of a blunt nose plier with a proper diagonal cutter, like it actually comes together, which is great. Not all tools like that do. And notice the width of this plier head. Now I want to show you the Next Tool Mini Sailor, one of my favorite small tools. Yes, this one is spring-loaded, this one is not, but look at the difference in total thickness. And what that's going to translate to is more strength. This is going to be a stronger plier than this one, but this is 85 grams, let's say, versus this tool, which is 67 grams. And they're able to do this because what they have is a injection molded plastic over a steel frame. So you get the strength of the injection molded, the strength of the steel with the ergonomics of the plastic. Now, this might look a little cheap to you, but believe me when I say this is a very good solution to making something inexpensive but function. And so I like what they have done specifically with the frame itself. Now, when we get to the outer tools, this is where things kind of fall down. And this is true with so many brands that have no idea what they're doing when it comes to implementation. The file, crosscut file here, not particularly well, it's not very sharp, so it's not going to do very good. And even the nail file doesn't even bother to work on my nails. And I don't really have, that hard of a nails. We have a fully serrated blade on this side with some weird hook mechanism thingy, strap cutter. And then on the other side, we have a gauge. We have a straight blade in 440C, which I do like. And then we have a flathead. Now, other than the flathead, and I will say also that the blades came particularly dull. Now, other than the flathead and the blade, everything else in this tool feels like they just kind of threw it in there. And this happens so often, I find, with tools made by companies that maybe aren't, I don't know what they're doing, but they think through this great form factor, this great design overall, and then they throw in a bunch of stuff that nobody actually needs. All you really need are 3 things in this tool, 3 additional things besides the pliers: a blade, a flathead, and a Phillips head. You have those 3 things, you already have the basis for something that is potentially worth keeping in the pocket. Now, if you could manage to do that and include either a scissor or some form of drilling tool or something like that, that's great, but you don't do that by sacrificing the integrity of a Phillips or flathead that you could include by either making it thicker or more 3-dimensional, right? You don't want to have a 2-dimensional Phillips just so that you can fit in a bunch of mediocre tools. That's all this tool actually needs, and then all of a sudden you have something really worthwhile. Now, I don't think this is going to unseat the PowerPint as the best compact knife complementary tool. And I have said this many times, and let me reiterate it one more time. I recommend no other SOG tool except the PowerPint. That's how good this tool is for its size at 4.3 ounces. Look at this plier compared to this one. This is why it's so good. But this is almost half the weight of this. Well, not quite. I mean, I think this is 4.3 ounces, so I guess this is just over half the weight. But you can see how nice it would be if this had a reasonable tool set to be the next step down between this and maybe one of the smaller tools, like a proper plier head that you can use a little bit more than you would before you get to something like the Power Pint, and still being a nice form factor that's easy to carry. I don't have much more to say. I think that these are cool, but generally speaking, they have, I bought this for one reason only. I bought this because the actual plier platform offers enough to be worth a modification. Like, this is a excellent platform for me to modify. I mean, look at the size of the pivot screws on this thing. I should have no trouble taking it apart and being able to modify it to my liking and potentially installing new tools that I make with the same tang. I think that this could end up being a really great platform for that, and maybe they'll see that and maybe decide to make an update in the future. But my goodness, what a cool design for a plier-based multi-tool. Really, really narrow, nice on the strength, pretty strong for something this small. I'm not saying you should replace your Knipex Cobra with it, but absolutely a nice combination plier in a nice, small, light form factor. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that because there isn't a guard for the pliers, it does seem to push out the implements when you close it. Another little bit of annoyance. But since I'm not keeping pretty much anything in here except maybe the blade, the straight blade, yeah, it doesn't bother me too much. I'm curious to see what you guys think. Now, I had to look around to find these. This is not something that's easy to locate. Maybe they're either A, being discontinued or just starting up. But yeah, it's just a cool oddity, another multi-tool that we now have and can put in our little checklist of different ideas to visit in the future. Injection molded plastic over steel frame. If you're gonna make an inexpensive multi-tool, this is a great way to do it and keep it light and keep it strong. Just some food for thought. Anyway, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this tool are, and generally, what would you carry if you're not going to carry a full-size multi-tool? Would you rather them be independent components like the Knipex 100 Cobra, or would you be preferring a small keychain kind of multi-tool or something slightly bigger? Cool note, check this out. This is actually more, this actually weighs more, 84 grams, than this does. I just, you see, like there's still space left in the multi-tool world to fill. It's just, you know, having the right implementation. That's it for today. As always, thank you for your time, and we'll talk again soon.